My Bluetooth connects to the heart of a high-flying schoolteacher. Supermarket. He stood by the shelves frowning. There are no more gummy bears. No more packs. So sad. I looked at the last pack of gummy bears in my hand and silently put it back on the shelf. On the way to school, a stray cat rubbed his pants leg. So small. Why am I allergic to cat hair? I want to pet its head so badly. I looked at the cat one step further. He had no choice but to retreat 3 steps, held back a smile and touched it for him. N times after the chance encounter. And then met him again. Was in the toilet. He was washing his hands. His face was cool. And he looked at my position through the mirror. I once again heard his heart. She has even followed me to the toilet. She has been secretly in love with me for so long. Why hasn't she confessed? Me? When did I have a crush on him? I suspect I've hit a ghost. Why else would there be other boys' voices in the headphones? There are no more gummy bears. No more packs. So sad. I want to eat them. The voice was cool and pleasant. And it sounded good. I took off my headphones as if I had seen a ghost. And the weird male voice disappeared along with it. But then I put them back on. And they appeared again. I really want to eat gummy bears. This is still a ghost who loves to eat gummy bears. I looked at the last pack of gummy bears that I had taken from the shelf in my hand in disbelief. It was like a hot potato. It can't be because of this that the ghost was attracted here. Can it? There weren't many people in the supermarket. There was only a boy standing by a shelf not far away. He was tall, wearing a black short-sleeved suit. His skin cold and white. The contours of his face were taut. And he exuded an air of detachment that was not to be approached. I knew him. Ryan. Our school's grade 1. And school bully. His family is especially rich. And I heard that his family paid for the construction of a school building. It's as if God gave him a spotlight. And he's the center of attention wherever he goes. I didn't expect to meet him here. He looks just as cold and unapproachable as the rumors. Suppressing the surprise in my heart. Thinking that he didn't recognize me. I still didn't go forward to say hello. I was about to take the gummy bears and other snacks to the counter to check out. Another voice came from the headphones. Huh? Is that a gummy bear in her hand? I paused in my footsteps strangely. My eyes looked thoughtfully at the teenager next to the shelf. Sure enough. He was looking my way. To be precise. He was looking at the gummy bear in my hand. Seeing me turn my head. He immediately withdrew his sight. His expression cold. But a voice came from the headphones. The last pack of gummy bears is really in her hands. I want to buy it from her. If I beg her, will she give it to me? So the one who's been talking in my headset is Ryan. The god of learning. But he's clearly not opening his mouth to speak. It's like he's trying to validate a conclusion. I took off my headphones. The magical sound of wanting to eat gummy bears had definitely disappeared. I tentatively raised the gummy bear. I could clearly feel burning eyes looking over immediately. I came to a conclusion. My Bluetooth headset could connect to Ryan's heartbeat. It was too much to bear the burning sight. I counted the snacks in my hand and pretended to be surprised. Oops. I think I bought a little too many snacks. I hurriedly put the gummy bears back on the shelf. A delighted voice came through the headset. She doesn't want the gummy bears anymore. Put them back. Great. It's mine. It's yours. It's yours. I can't imagine that the high and mighty god of learning likes gummy bears. I had just placed the candy on the shelf when the teenager's arm went through me and took the candy. Afraid that in the next second, I would reverse and take it away again. I peeked at him. His expression was cool. And he didn't show much expression even when he got the candy. The Hokage seems to be not quite the same as the rumors. But this little episode was soon forgotten by me. As an ordinary student. The school days were quiet and boring. Classes were in session and out of session. Lily always liked to discuss school gossip with others. Who got kicked out of school for fighting? Which teacher was reported by a student's parents for being late for class? And the schoolgirl who confessed her love for Ryan and got rejected. Lily could discuss anything except her studies. Among them, there were the most rumors about Ryan, the god of learning. For example, Ryan's father is the owner of a listed company and has several assets abroad. And Ryan has been the top student in the school since middle school. As for why he started in junior high school, it was because he had been going to school abroad before he returned to China in junior high school. Ryan is particularly high-strung, not talkative, and not very good-tempered. And the girls who confessed to him ended up crying and running away. Even so, there are still a lot of girls and I crush on him. Normally I'm not really interested in this kind of gossip. It's all about immersion studies. For me, a student who is midstream in his studies, unlike students who are naturally quick-witted, one has to spend more time to devote to studies in order to be in a crowd of heavenly minds and keep improving. But this time, during their discussion, I thought about it and interjected. Ryan seems to like candy. Or gummy bears. Lily and the front desk didn't believe me and laughed. Ryan likes candy. Are you kidding me? He didn't even take the handmade chocolates the schoolgirl gave him. He's so cool. He doesn't like sweets. I shut up. Well, if it wasn't for the accident that day, I wouldn't have believed it either. I continued to immerse myself in the sea of questions. When I saw Ryan again, it was on an afternoon after school. I came out of school late because of duty. I saw him on my way home. He was wearing a school uniform. His temperament was clean and cool. His lips were pursed and he was looking down at something. I noticed a kitten not far from him. The kitten took small, slow steps and walked to Ryan's feet, trying to rub against his pants leg. But it was mercilessly dodged. It seems Ryan doesn't like cats. Thinking of something, I pulled out my Bluetooth headphones and put them on. Sure enough, I heard his heartbeat. What a small one. How could there be such a cute creature in the world? Why am I allergic to cat hair and want to touch it? I'm allergic to cat hair. Looking at the kitten, he continued to come over to rub it. The way the teenager helplessly dodged it, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Realizing someone was there, he turned back to look at me. Our eyes met. This is the first time I've looked straight at Ryan and observed his looks. Worthy of being the pride of the heavens. Superior three-dimensional bone structure. High nose. Slightly sharp contour lines. Giving people a cold feeling. The most beautiful thing was to be the pair of deep green eyes. When slightly narrowed, they looked like a cat full of alert displeasure. Lily had once said that Ryan's mom was German and he was a German mix. Ryan's mind was ringing in his ears. Who is she and why does she keep looking at me? I watched him frown, obviously thinking. I wasn't surprised how Ryan, surrounded by so many people, remembered me from the supermarket. Come to think of it, she's the one who got the third big question on every test wrong with one thought. I saw her twice in the office. And every time the teacher was talking to her about that question. Just when I was about to be happy that this god of learning remembered me, I heard the words behind him. Excuse me. I walked past him expressionlessly. I can still hear the doubt in his heartfelt voice. She doesn't look too happy. Did you get that question wrong again? It's clearly not difficult. Me. Walking faster. People are more angry than people. For I've been running into Ryan a lot lately. And every time I wore headphones and heard his heart. This student who seems to be cold and unapproachable on the outside is too active on the inside. Inside, he is too active. I've never seen such a big contrast. Sometimes even with headphones on, he would be noisy. I was forced to know a lot of his hobbies and habits. He loves sweets, loves strawberries, loves to sleep, loves swimming and boxing, loves furry things, hates rain and thunder, and hates listening to lectures. Because he does it all. I had a headache. I was just a normal person. Why did I have to hear the troubles of this genius? It took taking off the headphones to make the world quiet again. For always hearing Ryan's heart. And often being hit hard. I studied harder. I encountered a lot of difficult problems and ate a lot of snacks in order to vent my sorrows. Resulting in diarrhea all the time lately. This time, The headphones were still playing English listening, so I couldn't stand it and rushed straight into the toilet. When I came out, I was so refreshed. Then I saw Ryan, who was washing his hands, and realized that I had run into the men's room. Ryan was washing his hands and his back was tall and straight. Through the mirror, he glanced at my position. When he saw me looking over, he lowered his head again. He was calm and collected, as if he hadn't seen me, the female hooligan who had run into the men's restroom. His heartfelt voice came from my headphones. Surprisingly, she's already followed me to the restroom. She really likes me. After creating a chance encounter for so long, why haven't you confessed to me yet? She's looking at me. Is she going to confess? She's a bit nervous. She looks as petite and cute as a cat. She'll be sad if I reject her. She doesn't seem to hate going out with her. Heart beating faster. What do you need to do to be her boyfriend? Is it a date to the movies? Does she like Europe, America, or Japan? It's okay to watch both, as long as she likes it. I just watched as he was torn and then showed a frank expression. My heart is full of mixed feelings. Wait, when did I have a crush on him? Seeing that the misunderstanding was getting bigger, I covered my face and ran out of the restroom. The math teacher leads several classes by himself. He asked me to go to the office to help him with his homework during study hall. And Ryan was there. My head was spinning and I forgot that the math teacher also taught Ryan's class. He was also helping with homework. He was also the math rep. He and I had a lot of difference in grade ranking. Facing such a great god, it was natural to feel a hint of the oppression of a school god. What's more, I went into the men's restroom and was seen by him and misunderstood. I didn't even cock my eye during the homework grading process and pretended not to recognize him. I hope he pretends not to recognize me too. The math teacher had something to do and left. We were the only ones left in the office. And it was so quiet that all I could hear was the sound of papers being turned over, and the tip of a pen scratching on the paper. Without my Bluetooth headset, I couldn't hear Ryan's heart. Without that overactive voice, Ryan was a different person. He was cold and not easy to talk to. I breathed a sigh of relief when I finally made it to the end of grading papers, during which we hadn't exchanged a single word. I also realized that I had heard so much from him. But in reality, we were strangers who hadn't said a word. It seemed like there was no need to be so formal. Do you have time after school? A voice came from beside him. He's heard his inner voice so much that I subconsciously assumed it was his heart when I heard it. It took a few seconds before I realized Ryan was talking to me. Might not have time. What about the day after tomorrow? What's up? He said lightly. A date. I could barely stand still. Ryan, don't be so shocking. 5. He seemed to realize that he was being a bit too blunt. He added, is that okay? Because I couldn't hear his heart. I had no way of knowing what he was really thinking through his cold look. Meeting his turquoise eyes, my head was a mess and I repeated, may I? He nodded his head and said, then I'll wait for you after school the day after tomorrow. Seeing the piece of gummy bear he put in his hand before he left made me feel surreal. What was this? A date? But we hadn't said a word before this. We didn't know each other well at all. Why I say it's okay. It was late after school that day. So we just went out for dinner. It was a hot pot restaurant with a good reputation. Waiter, what kind of pot do you two want? Ryan looked at me. Me, can you eat spicy food? Yes. Not being able to hear his heart. I was really chilled by his attitude. The hot air above the hot pot is churning, and the red soup base is boiling. I had a good time. Ryan, on the other hand, eyed his head off. His cold white skin was flushed with pink, and those smooth lips were red from the spicy food, making them extra tantalizing. I admit to being accidentally blitzed by his beauty. Seeing him struggle to eat, I thought about how it wasn't that spicy. I'm glad I didn't order super spicy. Or mildly spicy. I handed him over a glass of water. He took it and his eyes flooded with physiological tears because it was so spicy. Who knows? The feeling of a cool, Handsome guy looking at you with tears in his eyes. My heart beats a lot faster. Suddenly it felt like my mouth followed the spice, burning my cheeks and making my mouth dry. I drank a glass of water too. I didn't realize that the next day Ryan was on fire from that hot pot. Why I know this is because Ryan didn't go up to the stage for the student representative speech in the morning. Instead, another girl went up to speak. I found out from Lily later that it was Ryan's throat that was the reason for the change because he was on fire. I felt guilty. I was the one who suggested going to the hot pot restaurant. And I was the one who ordered the spicy soup base. Taking advantage of the end of the recess run, I pulled Ryan to a deserted place as if I were a thief. I'm sorry. Is your voice okay? I saw a blister growing next to the corner of his mouth. It didn't affect his beauty though. But I still felt guilty. He looked at me quietly and didn't say anything. I was afraid of the situation of not being able to guess his mood. So I wore one earphone when I came. I heard his heart. She's caring for me and pulling me to the grove. My heart is beating so fast. This is where all the young couples in school date. Is she going to do something to me? So nervous. So nervous. Me, might as well not listen. I take out a box of ointment and hand it to him. Put this on, it will heal faster. He didn't take it. Instead, he lowered his head. His eyes level with mine. I want you to put it on for me. The voice was husky. Like he was pouting. I dipped a cotton swab into the ointment and, little by little, gently rubbed it into the corner of his lips. Does it hurt? He shook his head. But I heard his heart. It hurts a little. Looking at him with his eyes downcast and careless. It wouldn't have occurred to me that he was a baby who was afraid of pain. I stood on my tiptoes and didn't resist leaning over to blow at the corner of his lips. His body froze. And his ears fleshed out. So close. She smells so good. Want to be kissed. Kiss me, will you? It won't hurt anymore if you kiss me. I was shocked by Ryan's heartbeat. After shoving the ointment into his hand, he fell away. I don't know why my headphones could hear Ryan's heartbeat. His expression was clearly so proper and cold. But in his heart he was trying to get me to kiss him. What? Me, kiss him. Was this really the Ryan I used to adore? After I went back to class in a trance, Lily slapped me excitedly, not knowing what she heard. Cynthia. Have you heard? Ryan was dragged to the grove by a girl. My expression was a bit panicked. I was a bit flustered. Was he careful enough to be seen? Lily, during the exercise run, a girl in the next class didn't run because she had a stomachache. And she happened to see Ryan being dragged to the woods by a girl. And they were kissing. I almost fell off the bench. Kissing? I was simply helping him apply the ointment. I played it cool. How can you kiss? Ryan isn't like that. But Ryan's heartfelt words at that time rang in my head. Kiss me. Kiss me. Kiss me now. It was like he wanted me to kiss him. But I ran away. No kiss. Lily sighed. I didn't believe it either. The people in Ryan's class said that when he came back to class, his ears were red and his lips were moist. There's no way that was ointment. Lily deplored the strangling. Ryan is so high-strung that he can be shy. Which girl has such great magical powers? I must find out the girl who is so bull-headed. Worship her and let her teach me a few tricks. I silently narrowed down my sense of existence. But no matter how much I minimized my presence, I couldn't resist the chance encounter with Ryan. I ran into him all the time. In the corners of the hallways. On the playground track. In the equipment room. In the office. In the water closet at dinner. He'd idly take the seat next to me. Going to the grocery store and turning around. I would always see him walking behind me. 2. In the corner where no one was looking. He used to hand me a gummy bear. I was afraid that people would see it. So I took it carefully as if I were a thief. This feeling is very much like a secret handover between organizations. But with a little more ambiguous heart. My headphones were always filled with the sound of his heart. She's still so cute today. Sneaking back to look at me just now. I knew she missed me too. I really missed her during class. And I feel so satisfied to see her now. She misses me so much. I have to take the initiative. She doesn't seem to like attention, so I have to sneak up behind her. I love her so much. I want to hug her. Every time we passed each other, Ryan's face was expressionless. But his heart was in a frenzy of love. I had to take off my headphones every time. It's not like I didn't explain my previous behavior to him. Saying I could hear his heart was obviously too outrageous for him to believe. I had to find other excuses to explain. But it didn't work. He just thinks that I'm crushing on him, and that's why I keep appearing in front of him. And I know his preferences and habits. I really can't wash myself even if I jump into the Yellow River. Trying to pretend to be a stranger is simply not possible anymore. But what this unexpected appearance brought me wasn't all disturbing. Every time I met Ryan around the corner after school, I would humbly ask him for advice on the problems I couldn't solve, including the questions that I often get wrong in the exams. Ryan's thinking is very clear and logical. And he doesn't speak too slowly. He can bring me a lot of new ideas. And I can even learn a lot from him even after he has finished talking about the problems that I can't understand even though the teacher has told me about them. This is the strength of the God of learning. I feel more and more like a very ordinary person. Standing next to a genius like Ryan seems so ordinary. He has already been guaranteed early admission to the best university in the country. The gap between us is destined to grow bigger and bigger in the future. How could we really be together? This time after school, Ryan asked me, "Do you want to play at my house on the weekend?" I have several copies of the book you mentioned last time. I kept in mind the gap between me and him, and shook my head. "I have to do my homework." "Come to my house and do your homework. I'll tutor you." I heard his eager heart. It's really sad not to see her on weekends. There is no one at home, and every time I go home, it's empty and sad. Every time I think of her, I feel better. Say yes, please. I can't say no. Okay. Hearing me say yes, his eyes curved up. The coldness in the bottom of his eyes was like the ice and snow in the mountains being melted by the warm sun. Ryan's home is really big. It's a single-family house. And his parents aren't home all year round because of their work. And the bellhop will leave after cleaning the house. Ryan is the only one who lives in this big villa. And it looks really empty. When I entered, the table was already set with fruits prepared for me. He was wearing a housecoat. And his whole body was lazy without the usual coldness. Seeing me, he naturally took my hand and walked in. Because of the headphones in one ear, I heard his mind voice, just like that. Act natural. Hold her hand. Can't be nervous. Can't be noticed by her. Her hand is so soft. I want to squeeze it. You won't be caught if you squeeze it, right? Just a little squeeze. I felt my fingertips being pinched without thinking. The force was very light. Afraid of being discovered by me. I don't know why, but I found this cautious look of his inexplicably cute. I also pinched his hand. He paused in his footsteps, and then proceeded to walk onward, leading me with a steady hand. My ears reddened, and I wanted to tell him so. His study was bigger than my bedroom, and his desk wasn't small. He was next to me while doing homework. I turned my head to look at him, and he's looking down at his test paper. Looking serious. But my one ear with headphones on hurt his heart. She's so serious about her homework. She's been looking at the sixth problem for 3 minutes. Does she not know how to do it? It's quite simple. Should I take the initiative to tell her? But will she realize that she's been paying attention to her? I'm so annoyed that I want to squeeze her hand and hold it to teach her the questions. I couldn't listen anymore and took the initiative to ask him the question. He talked to me with a normal face. In the meantime, his fingers accidentally touched me. And I didn't care. Until the 4th time. I couldn't stand it any longer. Ryan. I called out his name. He looked innocent. What's wrong? That's a serious look. I'm afraid I'll be fooled if I don't hear what's on your mind. Although there were always hiccups in the process. I was able to do my homework surprisingly fast because I was next to a god. After finishing the homework, we both stared at each other wide-eyed. Me, homework's done. I'm going home. He pursed his lips. Want to watch a movie? His voice. Don't go. Don't go. It's only been a little while. Stay with me again. He doesn't want her to go. What should I do to make her stay with me for a while? If she leaves, I'll be all alone again. I still can't bear it. Then let's watch another movie. His eyes instantly lit up. Sitting in front of the TV. We picked a movie. Finally. We chose a movie with a fresh-looking cover. We sat on the couch with a pillow between us. Then the pillow disappeared. My fingers were covered by my other hand. Looking at his expressionless face watching the movie. But the small action constantly. I kind of want to laugh. Half an hour into the movie. The sound effects of the plot were getting out of place. I realized that this was a horror movie that looked refreshing, but was actually quite creepy. As the music grew progressively more eerie, the air in the room became cooler. As I watched the main group of protagonists give away their heads one after another in various ways, I felt a tightness in my body. Startled. Only then did I realize it was Ryan holding me. Don't be afraid. His voice was low and inexplicably gave a sense of security. If I didn't hear his heart. It's scary. She must be even more scared. I have to protect her. Why is this ghost still showing its face? It's scaring her and me too. I finally couldn't hold back my laughter and pressed his head against my shoulder. I patted his back. Not afraid, not afraid. His voice said softly. Not scared. Heartbeat. Did she find out? I shivered just now. Will she think I'm a coward? So embarrassing. I look at Ryan as he scrunches himself up into a ball of self-absorption. Thought it was so cute. He had so much contrast too. People who don't know him think he's high-strung. Not easy to talk to. Hard to approach. Who would have thought that he loves cats? Loves candy, and not spicy food. And is afraid of horror movies. I also did not think that I would one day protect the high-cold school bully because of watching horror movies and trembling. In the past. But can only be seen from afar but not blasphemy. And now. I'm listening to Ryan's heart. I'm so happy to be protected by her. I'm not scared at all anymore. Don't let go. Just hold me like this. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I want to stay with her for the rest of my life. Ryan is wearing a sweater. He's so fluffy that hugging him really feels like calming a kitten. As soon as I let go, the kitten puts my hand back on it with his paw. I couldn't help but stare at him. Noticed a strand of hair in his hair. Wanted to look down and help him remove it. Instead, he thought I was trying to let go and looked up. Caught off guard. I kissed him on the forehead. The air stood still. His body froze. I heard his heart voice. She kissed me. She kissed me. I told you she's always wanted to kiss me. She's just too shy and embarrassed. I love her so much. I couldn't move a muscle. Enough with the over-brainstorming. Ryan. 7 The eve of the field day. Keon. Do you want to participate in the field day? I absently filled one out. The sports committee took a look and sounded excited. You're going to sign up for the women's 2,000-meter run? That's great. No one signs up every year. And you're the first. I realized I had checked the wrong box. I had wanted to hook the girls' 800 meters. But I had hooked the girls' 2,000 meters. 2,000 meters will kill you. Seeing that I wanted to change it, the physical education committee hurriedly took back the meter. You can't regret your choice. I expect you to win the highest honor for our class. It doesn't matter whether you win or not. It's all about participation. I read it. I'm the one who has to take a long time to run 800 meters. Lily came over to me. I heard that Ryan signed up for the race too. Me. He signed up for the boys' 3,000-meter run? She. Who signed up for that? She. Who would sign up for such a miserable program? He signed up for shooting. I heard he learned it since he was a kid and hired a national team coach. He must be very handsome. Me. How can a school have a shooting program? Her. You're concentrating on your studies every year. How can you possibly pay attention to that? By the way, did you sign up for the program? Me. 2,000 meters for girls. She gave a thumbs up. Bull. On the day of the field day, the school was bustling. I watched Ryan's shooting competition. On the field, he was standing tall and shooting in a standardized position. He hit the target without a single miss, causing the girls in the stands to scream. My ears perked up. Ryan is so handsome. How can he be so perfect? He shot me right in the heart. Did he look our way? Was he looking at me? He was looking at me. His eyes are so beautiful. Turquoise. Oh my God. I'm going to die. I'm sitting below them. Soon it's my turn to run. Running too. 0 meters sounds scary. But it's really scary. By the time I reached 500 meters, I was already fuzzy, relying on my body's instincts to run forward. Many people stopped in the middle of the race and gave up. I always insisted. This is my rule. Once I start, I can't give up. The same is true for studying. I am not fast in the brain. And compared with those who are naturally smart, I can only rely on perseverance and persistence. I was scolded by teachers in elementary school for being stupid, but I relied on this perseverance and persistence to get into this key high school. Finally, I reached the finish line. I'm also exhausted. Woke up again and was in the infirmary. Ryan was by my side. The corners of his eyes red. When he saw me wake up, he hurriedly poured me a glass of water. I sipped the water, and the burning pain in my throat had faded a lot. He was puzzled. Why do you work so hard? You can stop in the middle if you can't run. Looking at his worried and anxious look, I couldn't help but pinch his face as he came over. I'm fine. I just feel that I've joined the race, so I have to stick to it until the last moment. He was very soft. His face was soft, and he let me squeeze it. The uneasy worry in his eyes gradually turned into gentle indulgence. He said softly, "You took second place. Congratulations." I was satisfied with the result I had fought for. "Thank you. I watched your shooting competition. Congratulations on first place too. If you like it, I'll teach you sometime." "Okay. We have a deal." "Uh-huh." We stared at each other for a while, both turning our heads unnaturally and laughing in unison. This time, there were no headphones to hear his heart. Instead, I could feel his mood. We were both happy for the honor the other had received. I loved the feeling of walking side by side. I found out later from Lily. Ryan was the one who took me to the infirmary after I fainted. He was still receiving his award, and when he saw me pass out, he ran like crazy and picked me up and rushed me to the infirmary. Lily, you don't even know how scary Ryan looked at that time. No one dared to stop him. Just watched him carry you to the infirmary. And had to guard you until you woke up. The principal even came over to see you. Keon, are you really secretly dating Ryan? It turns out that that awesome girl has been by my side the whole time. Tell me how you got Ryan. You chased him, right? Ryan doesn't look like he's actively chasing girls. Every day I was pestered by Lily's curious questions. Would anyone believe me if I said I was the passive one? Because of the sports event, I, who was originally unknown, was instantly exposed to the rest of the school. There were many students who came to the classroom door to peek at me out of curiosity. After a few glances, they spat. "That's her? She's so ordinary. Why would Ryan fall for this girl?" That's right. Ryan is the god of academics. He should at least like someone with the same IQ as him. Or someone like the school's flower girl. At least one of them has to be good in terms of face value and IQ. Right? I don't believe Ryan likes her. She must be using some shady methods. Her grades have been going up lately. Maybe she copied them too. The voices became more and more outrageous. Lily couldn't stand it anymore and stood up to dislike me. I stopped her. I'll do it. I walked directly to those people. Do you guys think saying these things makes you look special? Superior? If you have the time to criticize, why don't you just go for what you want? Do you really think your heart will be clean just because you don't have a clean heart? I got my grades on my own. I have a clear conscience. And it's true that Ryan helped me with tutoring. But if you want to, go to him. Is it honorable to come to me because you don't dare to go to him, and then come to me to throw stones and make verbal attacks? The men were speechless. I didn't think I'd dislike them directly without flinching. One girl stepped forward. What makes Ryan like you? I crossed my arms, not letting myself lose any momentum. Because I'm bold. Okay? If you can do it, go ahead. The girl dared to say something. I'm just saying a word to you. Why do you sound so mean? I laughed. You're the first to criticize. Can't you fight back? I'm telling you. Even if Ryan was here, I'd still be this mean. You're not mean at all. A familiar voice came from behind me and I froze. Turning around, I realized Ryan was standing behind me at some point. So he saw what I just did? I was actually trying to maintain a bit of a good image in front of him. He walked over to me and looked at the girl. I've already rejected your confession 3 times. So I hope you won't bother me anymore. As well as bothering people who are important to me. The girl was mortified and had tears in her eyes. But what gives her the right? For the first time, coldness appeared in Ryan's eyes. The coldness he had felt before was a distant refusal. But this time he was really angry. He looked at the girl and said, word for word. And who are you to say that? The girl was finally shocked and ran away, wiping her tears from her eyes. Ryan turned around and the cold look was gone. He walked up to me obediently. Seeing that I didn't say anything, he carefully spoke. I'm sorry. It's my fault for causing you so much trouble. Don't be mad. I wasn't angry. I just hadn't come back to my senses yet. I heard Ryan's heart just now when the girl asked. On what grounds? On the grounds that she's cute and strong and brave and kind and serious. She's the best girl in the world. Don't you dare talk about her. I said seriously. Ryan, I'm going to the same college as you. He froze. His eyes overly bright and clear. I heard his heart. She said she wants to go to the same college as me. How can she like me so much? I'm so happy. I'm going to faint. I want to hug and kiss her so much. I hurriedly interrupted the flirty talk in his mind. I know you've been guaranteed admission to the University of S. I'm still a lot of points away from this top institution, but I'll try my best. Ryan, I will walk beside you and walk alongside you. 9. I began my intense study life. The University of S is one of the top universities in the country, and my score was still far from the admission line. I studied day and night. During the day, I would listen to the teachers, write down any questions I didn't know, and ask Ryan to explain them to me again. Knowing my determination, he would specially organize the difficult and wrong questions, and help me sprint in a planned way. My grades are rising. But there was still a big gap between me and the University of S. Because of the daily memorization, I lost a lot of weight. Lily is very worried about my state. Don't strain yourself too much. Just try your best. The score of the University of S is really quite high. And only a dozen or so students are admitted to each session of our school. I shook my head. I want to try my best. I knew there was too much between me and Ryan. And college was just one of those things. If I couldn't even put up a fight for this, then even if I did get together with him in the future, there would be problems. I never believed in stories where a maiden could be firmly chosen by a prince just by sitting back and enjoying herself. The maiden must have been noticed by the prince because she was glowing. She is able to walk side by side with the prince. As the time for the college entrance exams got closer and closer, I didn't expect Ryan's dad to contact me out of the blue and ask for a meeting. Ryan had inherited Mr. King's facial features, and looked at the same deep, 3-dimensional features. But a more mature and experienced man. I was a bit nervous. Mr. King pulled out a check and said, "Here's $5 million. This bloody plot will happen to me. All this hard work couldn't stop the gap between Ryan and me?" I was a bit sad. I opened my mouth and wanted to refuse. Mr. King said, "After the entrance exam, let's go out with Ryan." Before I could say the words with backbone, I froze. What? The reigning king of the business world smiled. A little less oppressive. Did I scare you just now? Sorry. Maybe I'm really a bit serious when I'm not smiling. I said. Aren't you going to take the $5 million to get me away from your son? Kid. Watch less Dog Blood TV. This time I'm looking for you because I want you not to be nervous about the college entrance exams. Even if you don't get into Ryan's school, it doesn't matter. University A next to the University of S is also a very powerful school. It's just that the high tuition fee is a deterrent to many people. Your current grades will have no problem going to the University of A. And I'll subsidize all of your college expenses. This rush of bravado made me react for a moment. So Ryan's dad wasn't trying to break it up. He was setting us up. Are you serious? He spoke Curtis Wells. Of course. I want to thank you. Ryan's mom left early. And I was too busy with my business to take care of him all the time. He used to have autism. And even though he was cured later, it still affected his communication with the outside world. Because of you, I gradually saw the old vigor in him. It turns out that Ryan still has this kind of experience. I thought about it. Mr. King. Thank you. But I want to give it a try. I want to go to the University of S. Mr. King opened his mouth, thought of something else, and finally just smiled helplessly. No wonder Ryan cares so much about you. You're really admirable, little girl. Before he left, he insisted on shoving the check into my hand. I, Mr. King, have never begged many people in my life. Ryan hasn't smiled for a long time. Girl, you must be good to him. I'm begging you. He looked like a worried old father. I'm so embarrassed. 10 after the high school exams. I was very nervous until the scores came out. I was very nervous until I saw that I had been admitted to the University of S. I was so relieved. I proved that I can stand by Ryan's side with my hard work. And Ryan was even happier than me. The next day Mr. King booked our flights. We traveled around the world. There were countless sights to see on the way. And many things I hadn't seen in books came to life before my eyes. Ryan held my hand. We climbed mountains, walked in the grassland, and went to the beach to collect shells. He no longer has the coldness and detachment he had when we first met. There was a little more exposed warmth and looseness in his eyes. But that unique tender favor. Always only in front of me to show. I have not used headphones to listen to his heart for a long time. Because now a look can understand each other's meaning. On a night full of stars, we kissed. He said he came back into the world because of me. I was the sun in his world and I couldn't leave him. I hugged him back. Then do you realize that you are my sun too? I look up to it because it's dazzling. And because I look up to it, I chase it. Now, I'm hugging the sun. We're both shining.